Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cast and Spear podcast. My name is John. Today we have back on the show Matt Bond. He goes by Cut Professor on Instagram. Hit him up if you haven't already done so. Today we're going to cover what he thinks every new spearfisher man and women should know, and also go into depth about fish prep. So let's dive in.
Do you have any advice to the new spearfisherman or spearfisher woman? Like, do you have any tips that
Yeah.
you've learned that you're like, hey, this would have helped me save a year or two?
Yeah. So that mentorship thing is huge. I
Mhm.
think that's great. I think in LA area, San Diego, and even here, there's a lot of clubs. And I would join a club if I could. I never joined a club because there really, there was the Long Beach Neptunes, which was 2 hours from me. So we kind of messed around. But I think that's important. I would say being where fish are is the most important thing. You can have all the gear in the world and all the training in the world and do free dive classes and dive 150 feet. If you're diving a crappy area, it's hard to get fish. I think fishermen know more about how to find fish than most spear fishermen in terms of what currents need to be doing and tides and moon phase and that type of stuff. So I would read books on fishing for your area and figure out, and talk to the people to tackle shop and what's running and where are they and where do you fish for those. That type of stuff I think would push you along. I would take the safety aspect of it very seriously. I've seen enough people die that it's real, and realize in California you're not buddy diving because we can't really see each other. So most of the time trade dives up and down, but you really have to work hard to be on top of your partner when you're doing that. That said, most of the time you're kind of like solo diving near somebody. So know your own limits. Don't push your limits. Spend twice as much time on top as you do below. Get a watch. Doesn't matter if you're shallow. Don't overweight. That type of stuff.
I mean, those are all important, man.
Hugely important. And then on the fish side, take care of the fish. Like I used to go, I'm not going to bring ice because it'll jinx me. Bring freaking ice, man. Bring ice. Take care of your fish. We have great fish, and a lot of it is not good because it sits in a gunny sack or something like that for a long time. So have
Do
a
you
cooler.
gut your fish and bleed it in the water before you come out?
I bleed my fish immediately. Since I've been doing Ikejime of the fish, which is where you poke a little hole in the forehead and then you run a wire down through the hole into its spine. I don't gut the fish. I let them sit for a period of time with the guts in. Then after that period of time, I was just retold, talking about mentors. I went back to this gentleman who's a renowned Japanese chef. He's also on Instagram, but a friend of a friend, and asked him, and he gave me some guidance that if he's going to eat it in the next few days, he'll gut it out. Sheephead, I always gut. If I want to take a picture of a real big one or something like that, that's the only time that I wouldn't gut it in the water and scrape the bloodline out. One thing I think that's important is bleeding the fish. Pulling a gill works great. Cutting where the gill attaches on the top of the head, there's arteries on both sides there. So using your knife or your stringer and cutting right there, it allows the heart to continue to pump, and it pumps the blood out of the fish. Some people will cut down at the base of the tail. It does the same thing. You let it pump. But yeah, I mostly gut and gill my fish as soon as I possibly can. And then I pack them. I try to not let them soak in fresh water. So I'll either put them in a bag, like a plastic bag or something like that, or a gunny sack even, just to keep them moist on top of the ice, and bury them in ice and pull the drain and let any fresh water drain out of the cooler. So that's how I deal with fish. Yeah.
Where did you get your Ikejime? You just bought it on Amazon, or did you?
I made it.
You made it?
I'll tag you on a bunch of stuff after this, and if you want to post it later. I should probably buy one, but I got to go. So every year, because I just want to go do badass fishing. I have a friend that's a rod and reel commercial fisherman, and I'll buy my commercial open access license to go deckhand for him, because you can go catch 1,000 pounds of vermilion rockfish and lingcod by hand. It's freaking radical.
By hand?
And, yeah, you're using a reel.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
rod
sorry.
and reel, right?
Yeah,
So
rod
they
reel.
have a
Gotcha.
way bigger.
I thought you
business.
were throwing out a hand line or
No,
something.
no, no,
Yeah, I was like, wow, okay,
no.
that's different.
It's really cool. And then so he's been doing that and supplying really high-end Japanese restaurants in general with Ikejime fish. So I got to go and watch how they did the process. And he had the full rig. I copied their rig by making my normal kind of belt loop stringer, with a piece of string and a section of old spear.
Yep.
I made that more like the Ikejime poker to poke the hole in the head. And then I took a piece of 300-pound tuna mono and I snipped the tip so it's sharp.
Yep.
And it still has the loop where it was looped onto the shooting line where I can clip that through the little clip on my belt. So it just floats there. When I need it, I pull it out, I poke the fish, and then I can run the little piece of mono down its head, and it works phenomenally well.
A stringer Jime. This is
dude, you just took it. We got to patent that. Stringer Jime.
You should make that. I would use that in a heartbeat. That's
it works.
Smart.
It worked, but there's a dude, there's a guy online, Korean guy who fishes for Opalai a lot.
Yeah,
and,
Sean.
So that guy or somebody on there, Ikejime to fish with a piece of dried kelp, and I'm like, all right, like the center. I'm like, all right, if he can do that, a piece of mono will work, and it works great. So I'm not going to spend $50 on a piece of wire. If you see it, it's a lot like guitar wire. Like if you buy one, it's bendable and it's not going to keep the shape that, you know what I mean? It's kind of pliable wire. So I think guitar wire, but the 300-pound mono works great.
Oh, that's a great idea. Did you also use that Ikejime site where it shows the different fish and the different areas and it shows you exactly where their brain is, or you just
kind of figured out? Yeah, it's above the brain. Sheephead are a little bit harder. A lot of it's messing around. The chef guy, Yamasaki, went out. It's been like a year. He goes out with my buddy and he's trying to get different protocols for all the California fish. So like mackerel, no Ikejime, they throw right into brine, not gutted, not bled, and it keeps the flesh sturdier and more flavorful, and it doesn't flake apart when then you later deal with it. Bonita, I think they Ikejime and bled and didn't gut. I'm making this part up, but they have a different protocol for all the different fish of how to run about doing it, and I'm trying to learn that. I've been doing perch. I love eating sashimi perch and opalai, and it makes a marked difference in the flesh. I mean, it's amazing.
Okay, you're the first one who's really said like you've tasted the difference.
Oh, I took the last time I did commercial with my buddy, I did vermilion and copper rockfish side by side, Ikejime, not Ikejime, and it's a different fish. And I had the Ikejime reds properly handled for 9 days on ice, and they look like I could have said, "Oh, I caught these today."
Really?
Like the eyes are clear, the gills are red. The meat it's a different consistency. It starts developing umami, so it's like a wet age, if you will. It's a trip, dude. The last post I did of perch sashimi on my Instagram page, I think I aged those for 4 days. Guts in 4 days on ice, in a bag. And you can see just the shininess of the shine in the oil in the meat is different than if you don't do it.
I'm just thinking about all the fish that don't get properly handled and then sent out in the tons, like the millions of tons. That's just incredible.
That's why people don't like bonito. Like that's the best, in my opinion. The best
is amazing.
I'd honestly, because we went on some trips where we had bluefin tuna and bonito and properly handled, and I don't know, man, bonito's pretty damn good. It is not good when it sits in a gunny sack on a party boat in the sun, right? And that's, people go, oh, it's cat food. You eat those slime logs, blah, 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 blah. It's because of the handling. Like it needs to be dealt with. And it's so good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's one fish that needs to be instant bled.
Yeah, right?
Start.
There's no reason not to most of the fish we're getting to instantly bleed them, instantly, get the blood out of them, take your picture, then get the guts out of them. Right.
Hey guys, one more thing before you go. You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast app. And if you like the podcast, please consider rating it on Apple Podcasts and leaving a review. This helps other people find the show. Thanks.